Welcome everybody to today's webinar. Welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today we're going to be looking at the future of manufacturing. And before we get going, I just wanted to say a few words of welcome. First of all, my name is Jonathan Coleman. I'm Executive Director of the Algoma Workforce Investment Corporation. If you're unfamiliar with AWIC, we are one of 26 workforce planning boards across the province, and we're funded by the Ministry of Labor, Training, and Skills Development. Our primary goal is to provide easy to access labor market information to help identify and address opportunities and issues with our local labor market here in Algoma. And we do that through research and projects and activities such as this webinar series. I do want to say before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that I am, at least, and some of us in Sault Ste. Marie are in the Robertson-Huron Treaty Territory, and the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, specifically the Garden River and Batchewana First Nations. Today we're going to be talking about manufacturing, and I'm just going to turn off my sharing here for a second because I get to do a little bit of show and tell. So when we talk about manufacturing in Algoma, we have a variety of manufacturers across the whole region. And, you know, I thought, what better way than to actually showing some of the things. So first of all of our speakers are going to be receiving a recognition of participating in our Future Work series. And these were actually made in or manufactured in Elliott Lake at Prestige Glass. Obviously, I drove here. My keychain is 3D printed from Maker North here in the Sioux. This is a very simple piece, but they also do 3D printed prototypes. They've been making PPE. Obviously, you see my car key. It's a Honda CR-V. It's not made in Algoma. It's made down the road in Alliston, but it's using steel from our steel industry. You can't tell through Zoom how smooth my skin is, but actually use skin products from OC Bath and Body. So again, manufactured in Sault Ste. Marie. My lunch today is leftovers. Last night we had Rico's pasta and sauce, again, manufactured here. And then as I was leaving the garage, I grabbed a 2x4. This is actually from White River Forest Products, obviously in White River. So, you know, manufacturing, like I said, comes in all shapes and sizes across Algoma. And we're fortunate today to be joined by one of the largest manufacturers in Algoma and largest employers, Tenaris. So I'm going to introduce Dave Hattie, McHattie, who is Vice President of Institutional Relations for Tenaris Canada. And today we get a bit of a 2-for-1 deal because Dave is also chair of the board of directors for the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters. So he's going to be sharing with us his perspective from both Tenaris and also the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters. So we're very fortunate to have Dave with us. As we go through his presentation, we ask that if you have questions for Dave, go ahead and type them into the chat or the Q&A function in the Zoom webinar. And once Dave has done his presentation, we'll circle back and we'll circle back and get all those questions answered. So Dave's going to do a presentation and we'll have plenty of time for Q&As. So with that, Dave, if you want to unmute, we'll get you loaded up here. Hang on, let's just make sure. There we go.
Excellent. Good day, everyone. I'm very excited to be here today, and what a great example that that we've seen. I'm taking off my PPE. I'm in the office. I registered in at 36 degrees. My temperature is good. I have my door closed, and I'm able to work in the office without a mask. But if I were to open my door or to go out, I would of course put on a mask. I think it's really interesting that we think about the future of manufacturing today and now, because we've been so affected, all of us, by a virus that started around the world, and maybe last November, December, reached Canada by March. And now it's changed how we all work, how we all think, how we all look at the future. And so it's a great opportunity to share. And I'm looking forward to some questions after. So the agenda that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to explain very quickly who Tenaris is for those who may not know. Some context on the manufacturing and where we are. As Jonathan mentioned, I am the chair of the board of the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters, and so it's done some fantastic research. Its chief economist Al Arcand, vice president of policy Matthew Wilson, and CEO Dennis Darby do great work thinking about manufacturing and how they can help improve this sector and how we as members can improve the sector. So anyone who's interested more, please search out Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters. I'm also going to share a little bit about what work is like in Tenaris and investments that we're making, the need for diversity and inclusion, the need for multidiscipline work, teamwork to improve productivity and efficiency, the STEM skills in all areas of manufacturing, every employee working with technology. And I'm going to illustrate at the end a little bit of our digitization using our manufacturing system. So I hope this is insightful. I hope there's something new, and look forward to the interaction. First, just a little bit of context setting. I work in manufacturing, and I've worked in my background for the first roughly 15 years that I worked in Tenaris was in strategic planning. And so that's where I come from, the view of strategic planning. And the last several years have been focused more on institutional issues. As said, we as a company are a leader working to connect manufacturing, Canadian manufacturing, with our energy sector for Canada's economic well-being. And we're involved in many of the leading industry associations, whether it's the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters, the Petroleum Services Association, the Canadian Steel Producers Association. We are interested in being wherever we can to help influence public policy for the better and help to make the environment better for Canadians. So Tenaris is, you may be aware, we are a steel pipe manufacturer, but we are but one company of the Tekint family of companies. And that also includes a company called Ternium that makes other kinds of steel, and a company called Tenova that makes industrial services manufacturing equipment. And I'm going to share a little bit about them later, some of the technologies they've developed and that we're pioneering. And also we have an engineering and construction business and an oil and gas business. So we are very vertically integrated. We're thinking about things from all angles. Tenaris, though, is the pipe manufacturer, steel pipe manufacturer, and we're primarily focused on energy, providing pipes for energy to enable the safe and responsible development of energy. But we also make pipes that are used in other sectors like the automotive. And we are a global company. We are a leader in the world. We are half of our sales, more or less, are in the North American region, but we have 23,000 employees. So I am one of 23,000 plus employees. And depending on the market in Canada and the interest in our ability to convince our customers that we are the choice that they should make, which depends on being productive, depends on our cost, depends on our product assortment, depends on a lot of things. But I am one of depending on that market, between 500 and 1,000 employees in Canada. So we are a relatively large business in Canada, but we are a very large business globally. And that's important for us. It gives us some industry-leading financial strength. And with that financial strength, it allows us to continue to invest. And when we invest, we're investing in technologies and productivities and in our people so that they can take advantage of these technologies in producing something that our customers value. So in Canada, we are a seamless pipe manufacturing facility here in Sault Ste. Marie. We are ongoing, in the middle of making about $117 million of investments over roughly 2.5 years. This is the largest investment that we've made in Canada at one time. And we're doing it to be higher on our product assortment and also higher on our productivity and our competitiveness. So we're looking at both lenses as we make our investments. What are the manufacturing realities that we see today? And so competitiveness is a theme that I'm going to raise several times, but to be competitive, we must be, and manufacturers must be globally competitive. Even if there are shifts to more localization, competitiveness matters. Due to the relatively higher costs in Canada, as Canadian standard of living is higher, and we pay our employees more. But because of that, Canadians must be more differentiated. Canadian manufacturing must be more differentiating, selling products that achieve a relatively higher price. Even with a local preference, profitability is driven from the production of higher value products and selling at higher prices. In the medium term, as investment and manufacturing has evolved, high repetition positions that we see, generally are being replaced with automation that improves safety and quality and brings higher productivity and improved competitiveness. But with that improved competitiveness brings a larger volume and more jobs. So as jobs move from one area to another, we might become more productive as a result of eliminating a position here or there as a manufacturing sector. And it's likely to increase the competitiveness and the volume, and those jobs will come back and come back in larger numbers. So it pays off that investment. Continuous investment is built from multidisciplined teams and diversity. So thinking about things one way does not work anymore. We look at things from every way as a manufacturing sector. So shop floor operations, maintenance, quality personnel work together with technical experts that are utilizing the data that is captured by Industry 4.0 systems. This combination of data analytics and shop floor know-how leads to competitiveness, leads to investment ideas, leads to competitiveness. Big data and new business models will enable end customers and manufacturers to connect without waste in the middle. So now we can connect between the manufacturer and the final customer much easier and much more efficiently, much more productively. And as I said earlier, diversity is critical for the success of all teams. Research proves this out. And this is where Canada has a fantastic opportunity. We are a diverse nation. We have people that are Indigenous Canadians that were here first. We have those that have come later and settled. And we continue to have high levels of immigration, which adds to our diversity. We have a high education level, high education system, a very valued education system where we have a multitude of different areas where people can study, and they all come together, and that diversity is critical to success. So Canada, despite having higher costs due to higher labor costs, we have the opportunity with this diversity that we can use. So However, here's some research that I want to share, because things, we have opportunities, but we do have some challenges as well. And so here's an illustration of merchandise trade. And this shows us that our trade balance is moving in the wrong direction. So looking at, and this isn't even all Canadian trade, this is the non-energy trade deficit that Canada has, and it continues to widen. And so what is the conclusion of this is that, a way to look at it is that the world wants less of what we're making in Canada, despite manufacturing being, our manufacturing being powered by the lowest GSG energy. We have, at the range of about 80%, the electricity that is used to manufacture things in Canada is coming from non-fossil fuel sources. This is an advantage. Most countries are not achieving those levels. So is it that we have products with no value, or are they too high cost? Or I think when you hear people speak and they tell you an absolute answer, I think it's somewhere that is more in the middle. It's a little bit of both. What more can we learn? So since 2010, our business investment, our investment in productive stock of capital has been flat, and it ranks near the bottom of OECD countries. So we are neither investing in new manufacturing to produce at lower costs, nor to produce higher value products compared to others. So we should think about this. We should be careful. We should be thoughtful. Further, when we look at our investment performance, it lags the United States. So Canada's investment performance has deteriorated sharply since the oil price fall from 2014. So what many economists thought, well, this was an opportunity to have a weaker dollar, more competitive. But what we see is when we invest less in our oil and gas industry, or we invest less in an industry where we have a relative strength compared to other countries, when we invest less in those industries, this means we're investing less in the supply chain, the manufacturing supply chain. And so are we really okay with this? And showing a little bit further on comparison versus the United States, manufacturing investment in Canada is falling behind. And especially the last 15 years, where in the United States, investment in 2019 was 50% higher than it was in 2004, whereas in Canada it was only 8.5% higher. And what also does that mean? So we're falling behind in digitization. So if we're falling behind in investment in business investment anyway, overall, and in capital equipment, well, this also means we're falling behind in digitization. When we look at the investment in software, the United States is investing far more. And so we need to think about this. Studies are showing that a barrier to this investment in digitization is the age of the capital equipment that we have. And so by investing in new capital equipment, we're by definition investing more in digitization. And if we're not doing this, what is happening to our labor productivity? Since we already acknowledge that we have relatively higher costs of labor and therefore higher costs, we should be investing in productivity. But if you can't invest, if you are not investing in the capital equipment, and by definition, the digitization, your labor productivity growth is going to suffer. And so we see that we rank near the bottom in OECD countries in our labor productivity. So with lower digitization in manufacturing capital equipment investment that's not being replaced, our labor productivity suffers. And we compare versus the United States, we are suffering versus the United States. So why? Let's hypothesize on possible reasons why. Well, one to consider and one to look at is probably part of the answer, is that our corporate taxes as a share of net operating surplus are a lot higher than they are in the United States. And so if we look since 2015-ish, where you can see this divergence occurring, this is a challenge for us. And so what does this mean? Higher taxes means less left over to invest in digitization, capital equipment, and productivity. So a potential solution is trying to right this. So where are we in terms of demographics? So we've looked at, where we are in terms of investment. And so does demographics tell us something? Well, really interesting. The retirement rate is rising rapidly. And so with rising retirement rates, this is great opportunities for young people. But I look at it from, there's no absolutes. We have some good and some bad. It also means that our labor is becoming more scarce and potentially higher cost. So for a country that's falling behind in productivity, falling behind in investment in capital equipment, a rising retirement rate is a cause for pause and concern. But there's three ways where we can help to replenish the workforce. So we can increase our levels of immigration and speed up the integration. We can invest in education, increasing the skills of the workforce, and encourage older workers to delay retirement and work longer. I suspect we should be doing all three, and they will all help us. In addition, underrepresented groups make up a significant and growing percentage. And this is something we need to be very mindful. We as manufacturers would like and cannot afford not to be reaching the entire population. Never mind the diversity of ideas and insights that come from this population will help us to improve and become more productive. What kind of talents and skills do we have today as a country? So where are we looking at? Well, what's kind of interesting, and where Canada is strong, is that the educational skill requirements for jobs continue to grow. And we see this is likely to continue in the future. So even with our lower investments in digitization, manufacturing equipment, and productivity, the skill requirements of our work are increasing. When CM&E asked in its manufacturing insights survey, asked executives and people working in manufacturing, do you face labor and skill shortages, and do you anticipate shortages? The answer is yes. Most manufacturers see shortages today and in the future, and that this can be viewed as either an opportunity or it could be a risk to our sustainability. And where are those shortages? So in which occupations are these labor and skills shortages most acute? The answers came back: skilled production, general assembly, production management, supervision. So these are the heart of our manufacturing, where we have and expect to have skills gaps. So what are we going to do as a sector to overcome this gap? Well, ironically, what we are saying we're going to do is we're going to pay higher wages, which is then going to make our labor less productive and going to lead to problems. But thankfully, we also see that we should be, and we are going to invest in operational efficiency, the increase in investment in automation. So, again, it's not an absolute answer. There's a little bit of both. So further from this manufacturing survey insights, what was to me a little bit alarming and a bit of a concern, asking the question: does your company plan on investing in advanced manufacturing technologies within the next 3 years? And so the answer is only 19% say no. The majority say yes, they will, and a small number, or relatively small number, is uncertain. So this is good. We're planning on investing. We would like to invest. However, what was kind of interesting when we ask, so what is your company's level of use for these advanced and emerging manufacturing technologies? What's alarming is that the answer is from 55%, add another 15, no use or limited use. So there's an inconsistency. Manufacturers are going to invest, but they don't know what the use is or how to use it. So I see this as an opportunity for a group of people that would love to work in manufacturing, insights that they can gather. And so when we think about this, so what do we mean by these manufacturing investment technologies? Are there some that are useful and some that aren't? So when we look at this additive manufacturing, 3D printing, so advanced robotics, uh, uh, augmented virtual reality, CNC machines. Okay, I'm glad that's one of the smaller ones. This is technology that exists, very commonly. But even going down to the bottom, where we have RFID product part tracking, RFID tool control. These aren't the future of manufacturing. These are already in many manufacturing operations, and so this is a concern in an area where I believe people looking at the future and want to get involved in manufacturing, there's an opportunity for young people or people that are reskilling, recurring, think about how they could use these technologies in a manufacturing and setting, because what we're seeing is from the survey is that many leaders don't really know how to use them, how they could use them. And so to me, this is extremely interesting, and this is something that Tenaris has been investing in our own manufacturing operations for a long time. And so I'd like to share a little bit about what work looks like today for Tenaris. And so absolutely, diversity is a priority for us. We're committed to make our work environment more inclusive. Why? So that we can benefit from the complete talent pool, and we can benefit from the solutions that this diverse group of people will have to bring to their daily work. Our organization has a diversity of roles that have a high degree of cross-functional interaction. So when we think about what are the roles in manufacturing, because often we grow up, we go to school, we don't really know what is inside. Well, we have operations, quality, maintenance, engineering, planning, supply chain, human resources, IT, health and safety. These are things that are inside the facility, interacting, working with each other, continuously improving. But in our offices, we have commercial people, supply chain people, planning, administration, again, human resources, IT, procurement. And all of these roles interact with technology. Digitization isn't something that is in the future. Digitization is here today. It will be more sophisticated in the future. It will be more complete in the future. It will be everywhere in the future, but it's already here today. And that means there's a digital twin of the product, the process, and the data captured in this process, from order placement, order design to delivery. This is from cameras, sensors, scales that all provide data in real time to the operators who are interacting with touch screens, and stored for continuous improvement. Lifelong learning is a fact, and it exists today in Tenaris in all roles. Continuous training. When we look at when we consider the salaries of people that are spent training and training people, we spent about $5 million in training in 2019. So we are investing in it. When I say digitization is here for us, we are digitization from mill to well. And so when I see this picture on the left here, that you can see the RFID on the coupling protector on the end of this piece of casing, and this is at a well site in northern Alberta. That means that somebody with an iPhone can scan that and know all of the properties to it, and use that if at some point they had a concern, to go back through our entire process. This helps them, it helps us. So modern manufacturing today now includes this digitization of its operations, and we're extending it further, going from where our product is used to our process. And we have developed a pipe tracer technology to do this. So looking at at our, yeah, in more, I'm going to show you a couple of concrete examples. And so I just want to tell you about these two photographs here on the left. One is a robot there, the top left, and you can see that gray box is that gray box here is scanning and installing a scan on that piece of pipe. It's putting a barcode on that can be used by all of the scanners further down in the process. And so this is something that is in our day-to-day life already. Here, the bottom left is a robot near the end of our process, and that robot is putting on the protectors, the green plastic protector on the end of the thread. And so these are two examples where robotics are in. And so I'd like to show you a little bit of kind of this digitization. And so this is, and we have it in many parts of our process, but this is a bit of on the left part is a video of the steel bar that's just come out of our rotary furnace. You can see on the right, this TK12055, that is that steel bar. And so you will see it's moved from inside the furnace, and it's going to move along here. You can also see, so the operator, see, starts to move. And now it's going to pull a new one out. We'll see it appear here. And so the operator can see all aspects of this process. He or she can click in. Further to the right is a picture of every single bar that is in the furnace. And this is helping them. There are different zones. We can check the temperature. We can check many things. So this is, and if they wanted, they could click on and they can see a graph of how this has evolved. So it's example of real time, and it's not that complicated, but it's here and we use it today. So this is one example. I'll show you another example where we have been making investments. The traceability that we're talking about relates to how in different parts of the process we're putting on traceability that is there. Now we look into an investment we've made recently in Autonetics. And so I'm just gonna, before we go here, I'm kind of gonna pause because there's a lot going on here and it's tough to see. This is heavy equipment manufacturing. So I'm circling here on the kind of left. Here is a white robot. This black piece at the end will go down and take a look at the thread and we'll measure it. This used to be done manually. Now it's done in a more complete way. It detects and is looking for the entire thread of this connection. Here on the right, under this green hood here is where the threading is ongoing. The operator that we can see here has two screens, just looking up. On that screen, they will see the result from this robot that is now doing the scan of that thread. So inside here is a thread. You can see there's a bit of a nest here of shavings, of cuttings, and they're manually moving this. In the next 6 weeks or so, this process will be automated, and that operator will now be up in this pulpit and able to see the exact same things, monitor the same process. I'm going to play this again slightly. And so this robot, there are two of them. Depending on the order, there it is scanning. They will be doing either one out of every 3 or 1 out of every 5, depending on the sophistication of the thread, and the thread is done here. So this is an investment that was a few $1 million of what we've done. I'd also like to show you some of the real-time cameras that we can look at, and I'm going to show you the cutoff area. So what we were just watching there on video was this area here. And so we might even be able to see live. I think they've just switched from, let me just check. No, this is a plain end order, so it's not threading. But what I'm going to go is to an area here where these are 4 cutoff machines, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can see as it's going that I'm looking at the top left, and the cutoff is as luck would have it. Now let's look at the one on the top right. There we go. So this is an area where we are investing, and by the end of March, this area will be fully automated, so that there will not be the requirement of an operator to be pulling the shavings off. The pulpit where I showed you in the previous video is where the operators will be, and there this piece of equipment here is now going to be doing the bevel. So this is a spot where as you see there are 4 positions. This spot here in the top left, and the similar one on the top right, where there's the same Autonetics robot machine. So these people will be from 4 positions in the cutoff, will be 1 position, and in the Autonetics goes from 3 to 1 position. You can see the red light here. A scan is being done. Every time you see the red, it's reading the scan that we saw being put on at the end of the heat treatment line. So they will now move up into here, and so by automating and replacing repetitive positions that with the robot, we are going to be more competitive, and we will then be able to sell more with more volume, then more jobs. So to give you an idea, if 3 positions in one area and 2 in another are reduced, we're able potentially, as we grow our volume, a new crew in the finishing area, which would be 25 positions. So by being competitive, more competitive in one area through continuous improvement and investment and automation and digitization, creates competitiveness that leads us to strength in our volume and more jobs. So, these are opportunities. These are investments. Without becoming continuously globally competitive, we cannot increase our volumes. We cannot increase our shares, and it's an important piece for us. So I've shared a little bit of what things have looked like. Now, what do we see in the future? So in the future, of course, the world will continue to need all sources of energy. And I say, of course, because it's second nature to me. It's not second nature to everyone. Many live in absolutes that we are going to have 0 fossil fuel, 0 energy from oil and gas, and 100% from somewhere else. When I see these pipes in the photo on the left, this is our storage facility service center in Grand Prairie. When I see those pipes, I'm not seeing the same thing as others. What I see is that is enabler for Canada's standard of living, for our way of life, the energy, the security of energy that we have, freedom, democracy, the innovation. And I also see lower GHG emissions. And so as Canada produces natural gas and is able to export that to Asia, that is replacing electricity from coal, from higher GHG emitting sources. So there is always going to be a transition from fossil fuels to renewables, and so we think that is ongoing. But there are other things that come from oil and gas, and so when I see that pipe, I also see the other things that come from that. So I do see the energy that I discussed, but I see the transportation. I see health. So petrochemicals come from the oil and gas wells. Petrochemicals create plastics, create the syringes, create the kayak that we use, create many of the things in our daily lives that we take for granted, that we wouldn't have the same standard of living as we do now. So our view is the world will continue to need all sources of energy, but things will be different. And there are going to be new ways of making things. There are going to be new products. And Tenaris is working very, very much to be involved in that. And so there will be new ways to make steel without fossil fuels. And I'm sharing a couple of examples there that Tenaris and its sister company Tenova are working. So they're working on projects around the world, DRI projects, DRI from hydrogen. So DRI is an important ingredient in steel making. And we're also making products that enable hydrogen distribution. And so we are continuing to invest and to be part of this transition, but all sources will be there. Where do I also see the future? I think as we've captured all of this data and we're analyzing all of this data, I think there's going to be some artificial intelligence that's going to help us be even better. And lastly, one thing that the pandemic has taught us about globalization and localization, and there has been some reshoring of manufacturing. I think there's going to continue to be some reshoring of manufacturing. For us, Tenaris, it's very important to be manufacturing local. We operate wherever energy is being developed, and Canada is the 4th largest market for the products that we make. And so being local is very important to us. It has a lower GHG footprint by being local. The steel that is used in Canada, produced and used in Canada, has 1/3 the GHG emissions as steel that is produced globally, or that is coming from China to Canada to be used. So, there is a globalization. Global competitiveness is really important. That means we're going to have to focus or reach for, being in Canada as a manufacturing sector, selling products, making products that are higher on the value chain, that customers value paying more for, but also that local is important. And when we break supply chains, we see the impact. And having a supply chain is very important. Energy security for us, the availability of our petrochemicals in our plastic sector. And we see what happens when some of the important ingredients to our health are not available. And so people are looking at things differently. And our view is that they will continue to value even more the local manufacturing and local manufacturing supply chain. So with that, I will pause and see if there are some questions. It's, as you can see, it's very exciting for us, for me, for my colleagues that I work with, being part of the future. We are investing in the long run, and we think there's the bright future for manufacturing.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave. That was an excellent presentation, and you really covered a lot of bases. I was writing down questions, and then you started answering them. So, I was going to ask about reshoring and kind of the global nature of that, and you certainly talked about that. And then obviously, transformation in the energy sector. And again, I mean, you just talked about that as well. There are a few questions coming in. So, and if people do have additional questions, please type them in. But I guess, you just took us inside Tenaris, which was awesome to see live. I think if people didn't have a sense of it before, they certainly have a sense of it now, just how advanced, what advanced manufacturing looks like, and what the tools are that are being used. But when you talk about hiring and your workforce of tomorrow, like what are the skills and attributes that you look for, and what programs do you hire from? Can you give us a sense of that?
Certainly, there's something that's been very close to our hearts from the very beginning of coming to Sault Ste. Marie is helping to develop local talent. And so we're ongoing investment in encouraging young people to be interested in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math. And then, sometimes, people hear that, oh, that's a scientist. No, it's everything. And so being involved in science fairs, yes. Being involved in robotics, yes. Being involved, with scholarships, trying to get people to continue to study or continue to develop their skills. And so we have in Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma University and Sault College that are fantastic as places for our young people to study. We are hiring from all sources. So our the reality of our operations are that it's an attitude and an experience that someone has. And so the more they've been involved in robotics and they're interested in that, or the more they're involved in industrial settings and why they find that interesting, why safety is so important, quality is so important. These are things that you learn from being involved in science, technology, engineering, and math. And so we're hiring people straight from school in our operations, and we are training them in our equipment and our processes. And there are those that would then work for us, and then perhaps go and take on a skilled trade and learn a skilled trade, and then they might transition into a maintenance role. And so we're hiring people in all areas. And so when we talk about how automation is shifting positions and we're adding so it's less positions here and it's more somewhere else. The jobs that we're talking about are programming, our electrical maintenance, our in operations technology. So when we add robots, positions change, but the people that are working on them, the people that we have, operators are using touch screens. They're thinking about what they're seeing on the screen. So they understand the technology. They understand the equipment and the technology. So for us, we're hiring the people that work for us are with a diversity of skills, and those are operating in the facility. But we also have in our offices people with the complete gamut. And so use an example, my degrees are history, public administration, business administration, and master's in business administration. And I'm as excited as any engineer about working in manufacturing. And so there are all kinds of roles in manufacturing for everybody.
That's great. That actually leads us a bit of a segue into our next question. And it's from Susan. And Susan works at the Sault Ste. Marie Innovation Center, so at SMIC, and they're working with the secondary schools to introduce data science and big data as a skill set. And I mean, obviously, you can see how data intense advanced manufacturing is just with this slide you have up here. Her question was, do you have like data analytics and data analysts here in Sault Ste. Marie? Is there like a local demand for that, or are they in Calgary or somewhere else for Tenaris?
So the good answer to that is they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And so now there's the gamut, right? There is someone who is an absolute specialist. I'm crunching the data. I'm a data analyst, and analytics are what I wake up in the morning and go to sleep thinking about. But then there's every other job that has an aspect to those analytics, and people comprehending what they're seeing, doing the analysis. So our operations team, the specialists working in whichever line or area that they're working, they are seeing the data and having to analyze the data to troubleshoot problems, to continuously improve. And so, and to connect that data with what the team on the shop floor and the supervisors on the shop floor are seeing. And so it's in everyday life. And so I point to to the previous question and connect it, that the mechatronics program in Sioux College is outstanding, because that is how things are going to be connected all together. And so it's great to see the Tenaris Robotics Lab in Sioux College is something where we're happy to have contributed to that, to give exposure to people. But it's great to see the diversity of different programs. So the data analytics, pure data analytics, great, but having a predisposition, or at least an awareness of how you can connect that analytics with the shop floor and with the equipment and the engineering of it is also outstanding. So I think we run the complete gamut, and the more skills, the better.
Excellent. Well, I don't see any other questions in chat, and again, I think you answered a lot of questions and gave a lot of information in your presentation. And I just want to remind people that the presentation today was recorded, so we'll have it up on our website, and also, we'll be sending a link out to it. But did you have any closing thoughts or comments that you wanted to make, Dave, just before we wrap this up?
Yeah. Two things. One, I showed some examples of where we have that digitization, and the cameras and the sensors and the images, but of course I showed only a small piece, and some of the most strategic areas, of course, I did not show and could not show. So when you see that solid steel bar, and then you see later it's a steel pipe, there's some beauty inside that, and some technology inside that, and that is even more exciting. And I apologize for not showing it and not being able to show it, but trust me, it's there.
Trade secrets.
Exactly. We need to have some. Competitiveness matters, but for us, one of the reasons why we've made our most recent investment in Sault Ste. Marie is that over the last 20 years that we've been in Sault Ste. Marie, we've been evolving, we've been developing, we've been incrementally adding to our product bundle, to our technology, so we can be more productive, more cost effective. But this latest investment in the premium threading line that is finishing now, in the Autonetics that I showed you, the ROA, another one that I didn't show, and others, and combining that with the new ERW line that we're in the process of installing, we consider this to be a transformative investment, and we're making that in Sault Ste. Marie. And we're doing that because we see that the community supports and has supported us, the people that are that work with us, the new people that will eventually join us. It's fantastic to be in a community like Sault Ste. Marie, where you can depend on all of these resources and that support, and the support that came from all levels of government, from their support of our projects. That's the kind of community where we're investing in, and a country like Canada that has the resources that it has of oil and gas, but of other resources as well. This is the fourth largest market in the world, and we are in a very challenging market environment today. The pandemic has had a strong impact, and we know that this is a point in time. But we're investing now, we're transforming now, so that we're ready as the economy recovers. And we know that the world wants more energy. They want the same standards of living that we have. They want to have what we have in terms of that standard of living, where they can have the jobs that we have, they can have the transportation they have, they can have the healthcare that we have. Canada is an amazing enabler, and so as a manufacturer in Canada that's producing something that is adding to Canada's competitive advantage makes us very proud. And so, thank you for letting me share the work that Tenaris is doing, the Algoma Workforce Investment Corporation, its role, having such an opportunity. I really appreciate. And thanks everyone for your participation today, and look forward to continued success.
Thank you so much, Dave. We really appreciate your time, that you took out of your day to present with us. I also want to recognize Josh Smith, who really helped stick handle and coordinate the presentation today. So Josh from Tenaris as well. For everybody on the call, we do have 2 more Future of Work sessions coming up next week. So Future of Work in Mining with Don DeVal from NORCAT is on Tuesday, and then Future of Work in Healthcare in Algoma next week, and that is on Thursday. Both those webinars you can sign up on our website at awic.ca. But Dave, yeah, thank you very much for your time. That was very informative, engaging, and just incredible that you were able to take us right into the facility. So I really appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else appreciated it on the call. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.